The Pastor Who Hated Church. Follow Elvis Jung on his journey of redemption. Chapter 20. The doorbell woke him up. Elvis looked around, unsure of where he was. He looked around before he moved. It was dark. The only light he could see was from the streetlight. The doorbell rang again. Elvis got up. He stretched as he slowly moved to the door. He looked through the peephole. He stopped to listen to the voices from outside. "You think he's in there?" "Where else could he be?" "You called his cell, right?" "Yeah, but I just got his voicemail." "You think he's taking this hard?" "Why? He quit." Elvis pulled back from the door. Was that what Kip and Chris were telling people? He unlocked the door as loudly as he could. Standing on his front step were Sparrow and Nick. "Hey," said Elvis. "Hey," said Nick. Sparrow got right to the point. "Why'd you quit?" "Come on in," said Elvis. He turned on the light. Its brightness blinded him, and he stumbled into the coffee table. "Walk much?" said Sparrow. They all sat down. Sparrow and Nick were on the couch. Elvis took the chair in front of the living room window. "I didn't quit," said Elvis. "Kip said you did," said Nick. "That from the guy who called himself Jesus Christ on Cyberlife," said Elvis. "What are you saying?" "This morning, it's still Tuesday, right? This morning Kip and Chris called me into a performance review," said Elvis. He made the quotation sign with his fingers when he said performance review. "A performance review? What's that?" asked Sparrow. "They've never done that before. I've been working at the table for 6 years. I've never had one," said Nick. "That's probably because they didn't want you to leave. Anyway, they called me in, questioned my call to ministry, and told me to go. I told Kip at least I didn't lie, and that Chris was secretly in love with him. It probably didn't help my case," said Elvis. Nick laughed. "Well, no kidding. The only one that doesn't know that Chris loves Kip is Kip. The girl's practically got a shrine to the guy at her place. I went there one day. It was creepy. And I mean stalker creepy." "Then why was she acting all jealous with me?" "Oh, I get it. I'm so stupid," said Elvis. "What?" said Sparrow. "We went out once. You knew that, right?" asked Elvis. Sparrow crossed her arms in disgust. "No, I didn't. It was a long time ago. Anyway, I thought she was being jealous of me," said Elvis. He shook his head. "She was trying to protect Kip. I totally went after him when he was doing his Jesus impersonation online. She was trying to protect him. I'm so dumb." "No argument there," said Sparrow. "Anyway, they told me I didn't understand the ministry, so I should probably do something else." "Like what?" asked Nick. They weren't offering career advice. Nick sat forward and clasped his hands together. He let out a long sigh. "I'm sorry, Elvis, but this is partially my fault." "How? Why?" "I kinda knew they weren't happy with you. The 3 of us were having lunch a while back when we got to talking about you and the arrest. When I mentioned how tough it was on you, Kip rolled his eyes. He said something about you being a know-it-all seminary type. He said a good beating is what you probably needed. Chris would follow Kip anywhere. She agreed. I was going to say something to you, but how do you bring up something like that?" Sparrow turned to Nick. "You should have figured out a way. That's not something you keep secret from somebody, not after he stood up for you in the park." I know. I'm sorry, dude. I really am," said Nick. Elvis shrugged. "It doesn't make any difference now. I mean, they got what they wanted." "Yeah, they did," said Nick. Elvis kicked at the carpet with his foot. "Look on the bright side. I don't have to do that Cyber Life Church anymore. It was really dumb." "It was kinda weird," said Sparrow. "I know, right?" said Elvis. "I don't get it. What's so wrong with it?" "I thought it was a good idea," said Nick. "It's a good idea if you actually reach out to people. But Kip's idea was way out there. I mean, build a church. Don't claim to be the Messiah. That's just wrong. Not only that, he wasn't telling people the truth. No one saw God in what he was doing." "How do you know? Maybe it helped somebody. You never know," said Nick. Elvis shrugged. "Even a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then. I thought the idea was to do something that actually helped people meet God. I guess, said Nick. It doesn't matter now anyway. That's not my concern anymore. What are you going to do? Asked Sparrow. I suppose running away and becoming a hermit is a bad idea, said Elvis. If you want to get another church, maybe, said Sparrow. Do you want to get another church? Asked Nick. Elvis paused and pursed his lips. I don't know. I need to think about it. I mean, this is 2 churches in a row. Maybe Kip's right. Maybe I'm the problem. I just don't seem to get ministry. Nobody agrees with what I think it is. What do you think it is? Asked Nick. Well, from what I've read, it's about making disciples for Christ, looking after widows and orphans, and not being like the rest of the world. You know, pure, said Elvis. I always think that comes off as elitist, said Sparrow. No, it's about living what you believe. I think it has to do with being a disciple, not living like you used to. I'm not explaining it right, said Elvis. No, man, I think I get it, said Nick. Know what? I'm mad at Kip and Chris. They talk about being new and exciting and all that. I heard them say they want to be inclusive even. But if you don't think like they do, then it's all out the window. They push you out so they can be inclusive together. It's, what's the word? Hypocritical. That's what it is, said Sparrow. I hear you, said Nick. You won't get an argument from me, said Elvis. Nick turned to Elvis and leaned forward, like he was about to reveal a secret. Listen, if you decide you want to give church another shot, I know of this church. It's nothing fancy. Actually, it's a little rough, but they need a pastor. It pays, I think. If it does, it's not much. They're pretty cool. I met one of their deacons. He's a techie. I worked with him on a project once. A really good guy. I think you'd like him. Anyway, if you'd like, I can give him a call. Elvis thought for a second, unsure of what to say. Finally, he said, What's this church like? Well, like I said, it's rough. They meet in an old storefront, right downtown. I mean, the core. So they get all kinds, right? The guy who started the church, you'll like him. He's a renegade like you. He didn't fit in anywhere either, said Nick. Gee, thanks, said Elvis sarcastically. No, I mean it. The guy wanted to build a church. He was a roll up his sleeves and get down to it ministry kind of guy. What else do they do? Like soup kitchen or clothes giveaway or what? Asked Sparrow. Actually, they don't. They're a church. Old Pastor Ed said there were lots of other places that do that. He wanted to do church. Like old school church, said Nick. So, like hymns? Said Sparrow. She sounded disappointed. I don't think so. What I mean is they're totally low-tech. They don't even have a website. Then again, I don't think many of their people have computers. It's sad, dude, said Nick. I don't know. I'd have to pray about it, said Elvis. The words echoed in his ears. Pray about it. At that moment, he realized that he didn't remember the last time he really prayed. He said grace before every meal, but that was only a formality, like the national anthem before a football game. Prayer, really crying out to God. He wasn't sure if he even knew how. Sparrow reached out and held his hand. Elvis, I want to tell you something. If you decide to pursue this, good or bad, I'm coming with you. Nick almost fell over. Elvis looked stunned. I'm serious. Remember the talks we had about ministry and stuff? I feel like I need to help you. What you said made so much sense. I felt it. You were saying what I was thinking. We can talk about it later, but I just wanted you to know, said Sparrow. So you'd leave the table? What about the videos and the songs? You'd throw all that away? Said Nick. No, I'll still write songs. I've done it my whole life. The videos, well, we'll just call you when we want to make one, said Sparrow. A knowing look grew on Nick's face. Hey, that's right. I could still do that. I have free time. Let's not go crazy. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Prayer, remember? Said Elvis. Sparrow smiled. So, let's pray. The 3 of them bowed in prayer. Elvis listened to how Sparrow and Nick poured their hearts out to God. There was an intimacy that made him uncomfortable. Elvis was convinced God was not his friend. Friends don't let friends go through things like this, he thought to himself. Then Elvis heard Sparrow say, Lord, you refine us so that we may be closer to you. I don't know why you've put Elvis through this test, but I know he'll walk closer to you because of it. Elvis coughed to cover up a scoff. All this seemed to do was drive him further away from God. It made him wonder if his parents were right all along. Maybe there wasn't a God. Maybe it was all in his head. Maybe it was his way of rebelling against his parents. Still, he wanted to believe. There was no denying what he experienced when he accepted Christ. He was so confused. When it was his turn to pray, he couldn't think of anything to say. Lord, you want me to trust you. Then please give me a reason. Amen. Elvis looked at Sparrow and Nick. Sparrow grabbed his hand. If you decide to check out this church, I'll go with you. Nick patted him on the shoulder. I won't. Nick, shouted Sparrow. I'm just kidding. But I won't go with you because I can't. I'll still pray for you and I'll help you make videos, but I can't leave the table. Sorry. I understand, said Elvis. To tell you the truth, at this point I'm not sure I want to go. Thank you for listening to The Pastor Who Hated Church, written by Timothy G.A. Cooper, narrated by Greg Cooper. Tune in next week to hear the next chapter in Elvis Jung's Tale of Redemption.